Let us evaluate the statement made. I did a short on it. I read the article already. I'm not going to read it again. I'm actually going to do something different. Hi, my name is Maria. I really don't like any of these introduction things, but I'm neuroscience informed, somatic informed, attachment informed. I take courses. I'm learning about the mind, the brain, and all this other stuff. And what I really don't like is when people want to blame social media for disinformation when it's not social media. It's people that write stuff in ways that, seriously, and I mean, I get it because I'm a content creator. That's the point. There's different ways to write sentences so that you may disengage, but, let me calm down. There's a saying in Italian that you bring water to your own well, something like that. So every person brings water to their own well. Okay, so even no, I don't. I actually know Maria, and I know that I believe in infinite higher human consciousness potential, and that I know that there's so many pieces of information out there when it comes to being a person, a human, and in my 43 years of life, that's what I keep learning. So when I see individuals using their degrees and their words in ways that I find insulting, as an actual, importantly to be noted, person who appreciates true education, means you do not tell me you know everything. And this is my Kali mode as a grown-up right now, because if there's one thing that we will know, you're lying. Liar, liar, pants on fire. And you telling me you know everything, making it sound true, and me knowing that there's shiny, shiny in my hiney, somebody looking for these statements, gets me just all, which I'm trying to practice. Thank you, Shiva. Come on in. That is no big deal. Thank you, Krishna Lila. So let me try to bring down my Neapolitan fire and express what my brain, even before knowing of integration in the brain. Thank you so much, Daniel Siegel. You are beautiful. The left, right mode of our brains. The left. So this statement right here, totally not all of the truth. Also to say, neuroscientists who do talk about the self that exists. So when I know that somebody knows of their own colleagues, because see, I do have a major, and that's one of the reasons why I don't miss academic world, because there's a lot of people that are adaptive children. They don't hear each other, and when there are those who do, those are my educators. And those are the people I learn from. And they're so calm. They're so great. They've put it into practice to be around. But that's because they're around people all the time. I want to use other words. I'm not going to use those words. That would not be very polite of me. Okay, so the sentence. Eastern philosophy says there is no self. Science agrees. Okay, this person is a neuroscientist. If I recall correctly, because the article I read a long time ago, no, not a long time ago. It came out in June. It just feels like a long time sometimes. And I had already heard and read from our lovely neuroscience, Patrick McNamara. Now, of course, he's not the only neuroscience out there. But I went and watched a couple of his interviews and more where he talks about the self. And he actually tells, this is on an interview with the closer to the truth, something like that. And he explains and shares where they see it on the machines. This dude, who's biased towards sciences, not to mention he's a scientist, neuroscientist, but he's biased. Yes, because he actually begins a whole way of saying how the Eastern philosophy knows more than sciences. So you're biased because you are already putting on a pedestal one piece of information, which, by the way, if I really need to use the word sciences, neuroscience person, you're using philosophy and ancient texts and stories to prove your point and to bring the data that you're fighting. And so this is why it's not even pseudoscience, because I'm pseudoscience because I'm not the neuroscience with the little label. This dude, because he's got his certificate, or her, I don't remember, or they're going to be listened to. And somebody's going to around and say, see, science agrees. There's no self. And when you say, well, wait a minute, I got my scientist over here. He says there is a self. And you're going to have two people who have two pieces of information. And I get passionate about this because the educators are the ones who are supposed to be expanding education, not restricting it. Why are you speaking as if someone can know everything? This modality makes no sense when you want to talk about education. that academia in the way back when used to be a career. It's no longer a career. Now we go and learn things, and we in fact don't need to go to college to learn things. We can not go. So even if you go to college, you're still going to be ignorant, not willfully, but closed-minded. And it isn't because this doesn't have value. The information has value, but the way it's stated, it takes away from value. Because now you have people who are convinced of something as a truth because you've spelled it out as a truth. You've put it in their mind that the self doesn't exist. And here, the left brain acts as an interpreter. No, no. The left is your chit-chatter, the speaking part. Your right is all of what is with body language, eye language. And in fact, when studies in the past, they've cut the two function alone and they see different things. So it's not necessarily an interpreter. This interpreter is often completely and totally wrong. Again, another blanket statement, which is now making me want to think that I shouldn't trust my left mode of the brain, which, by the way, you're going to use both of them. So let me see. Again, giving somebody a piece of information that's not going to be helpful to them since they are going to be using both sides of their brain. And what are you going to tell them? Half of your brain says that it's not, that stuff that it says is not true. This finding should have rocked the world. It didn't because that's the point. It's not true. But most people haven't heard of it. Yes, so the catchy sentence. This is not about social media, the platform, which is why I didn't coin where I read it, because they have a lot of great information. In fact, they show different people that wrote books, they're experts, they're researchers, all this great stuff. We have a bunch of people. What gets me is that somebody makes a statement like that. Again, Eastern philosophy says there is no self and science agrees. And then you're using a modality of the left is an interpreter and it's not accurate, and you use your own fucking left to write your article. Otherwise, you wouldn't be chit-chatting because your right don't do anything. You interpreted your own inner world and presented. So everything you said is wrong. It's just all over the place for a person that is trying to say there's better ways to present findings. But this is an adaptive child who's wanting, in fact, when I read it, they want to prove there is no self throughout their entire article. They're on a mission to pull that water to their well because that's what they believe in. And the part of why are you unhappy? Because 99.9% of everything you think and of everything you do is for yourself, and there isn't one. There is yourself. When you get to that whole 3-year-old heart, one, and therefore thoughts and feelings, like I have my own thoughts and feelings, very passionate, and not in a, ooh, hoorah, what a beautiful article. No, article informative. Kali all over it because you are spelling out something science agrees, which is not true. And that people will go and use to say, no, I know that I don't, it's all misplaced. Not only that, but left and right mode work together when you have an integrated brain. Not to mention you getting a degree in a sciences field and then wanting to bring forth what is a philosophy field. And that's why I take on the whole pseudoscience title, because I respect those who do things within the spectrum of what is linear. I'm not. I don't do linear. I do like little circle because it's food for thought for people. But I don't appreciate people bullshitting people and then having to hear people talk about something like this. So I'm making a little bit of, what is it, public announcement kind of thing. When you see anything talking to you about philosophy and science, sciences don't talk to you about religious beliefs, philosophy belief. They don't bring into the mix their ancient texts. Somebody's bringing to you their spiritual stuff. That means they have a bias and that they are inclined to want to believe, and there's a limitation there. There's a difference when I can know my heart, so I'm a mystic. I can tap into consciousness, but I'm happy to know that neuroscientists are looking into it and studying it and speaking and explaining, physicists too. I'm not offended if called woo-woo lady or pseudoscience lady either, because I actually appreciate empirical data being built. So when somebody sciences brings to me the ancient text, I act respectfully, but I know they're creating misinformation that is used then by people that go against each other, and that's not nice. It's not nice. So keep an ear out and an eye out, and just remember, everything is not true.